It began like that. They stared and paced each other for a long time. It was flattering in the same way that having a hurricane named after you was flattering. It was the same kind of gentle watching as an outline, and the same way a shooting star dies just so you can be the one to see it, to think that was the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. And I could call it a love story, but my family has an eternal history of men who look for trouble and women who should be going to the ends of the earth to escape them. They were married in Mackey during October season, summer being bloody, prismatic, and it just got colder and colder. Deneen met Jared in a Catholic youth group. Her father was a screamer, and sometimes the trailer shook beneath the weight of his rage, his mean hands leaving welts on her child's face. It was the third time Jared had dropped out of school. His parents set him up with a nice place and went back to Idaho without him when he was just 13. They thought it was better that way. When Deneen looked at him, she could feel the breaking pieces of her heart like terracotta, and Jared could feel the gravity of the world revolving around him. When he played the guitar, she would sometimes sing. They would make eye contact for a brief second, leave the room wondering where all the time had gone, drive home in the silence of an empty car and wish they could capture the feeling on a CD. They played Stevie Nicks in their youth group, Wore Me Into the World like a song. When he left for Iraq, it was like the world had ended. It's hard to explain the way it feels to be a daughter and to wake up one morning and drive your daddy to the airport, piping up from the back seat unaware. When he took me out of the car, he hugged me tightly and he had that stupid, oversized U.S. Marine bag they issued at basic training. And he didn't have any room in his hands to carry me and the luggage. So my mother just hugged me along and was trailing behind him. She was weeping and I just smiled, my child brain loving the lights and the way we could see the distant mountains, shaped tall, divine. I asked him where he was the moment we got home, cried out for him every night for his whole 2 tours, and nobody came to bring me a glass of water at night. Nobody gave me medicine when I was sick because my mother is the tough kind of woman who thinks every other person should be as tough as she is. Every day I longed for the father that left and loathed the strangers that came back. Sometimes I wondered what would happen if he had just stayed. I wonder what it means to be redeemed. Because within 3 months of being back, he started cheating, and my mother gets the shit end of the stick every time. And I feel bad for my brother every day, knowing that he got a caregiver and I got a father. It's the gray haze that clouds several lifetimes, and your name is like a song, and my name was a song, and I think I'm in love with you. I find home in the space between the radiator and the sofa, and you in my arms, and feeling like a dream, and the gold foil of your Ferrero shares, so overpriced, but I buy them anyway just to make you smile. And the way you match the colors of your clothes, and how you leave clothes all over the room in a way that feels so lived in, I can never deny it. I love the candle you made me, and the way you smell like honey, and the warmness of your fingers and your slightly crooked teeth. They say love is a learned skill, that it can be taught, but I've never been taught before. I give myself to you, and every day I am born again in your image.
Every night I say their names like a holy prayer. I'm addicted to them, like they are to me. I'm not like other girls, but really I'm not. Because every time a guy says, "What are you doing at 2 a.m.?" I'm secretly thrilled. Never once have I responded, but that doesn't stop any of them from texting. And when they text you up, it doesn't stop the smile on my face from spreading. Graham texts me every day. He says he hates his wife who has a baby on the way. He says he wants to take me out to Broadway. He says he wants to watch the new Kit Connor and Rachel Zegler thing. He says I look much better on his arm than his fat wife Jill. I would never respond. Not only because I only sweat Graham and Graham to make myself feel better after failing religion. Not only because Graham tells me that I'm a 10 and he's a 2, and I find myself secretly agreeing. Not only because my boyfriends already took me out to the Romeo and Juliet play, but because I'm a girl's girl. I know, I shouldn't be on Tinder if I have a boyfriend, but he doesn't give me what I need. Yesterday, he told me he loved me for me, and I had to force a smile and shake down my vomit and say, "Oh, baby." I don't give a fuck about finding true love. I look dating apps to get my daily dosage of male validation. Some people start their days off with of lattes, and I start mine with a good morning text from a man who only dreams of my response. I love them all, each in their own special way. Blake, whose idiocy reminds me to love myself. Every other day, Blake texts me with special thought. Yesterday, he asked if the boba tea I'm holding in my profile has chocolate balls. Scribbler tells me he'll follow me to the edge of the earth, that I could be anywhere and he would come running to me. He tells me every night that he would do anything for me. It's the perfect way to end the day, reading declarations of my love for my favorite little pathetic treat. Please, I'm begging you, let me make myself a martyr of the patriarchy. Let these freaks lust over my young, hot body. Men do so many things wrong, but they do pitiful performative vulnerability so right. My friends tell me I should stop. They tell me to go back to my loving, painfully, kind of homoerotic average boyfriend. And for a second, I wonder if they're right. My fingers are trembling and aching to swipe right or left based on an arbitrarily chosen number of abs I require for the day. With a heavy heart, I exit out of the app. Just smell the grass. Don't ask me why I'm singing, it's just calling me. And for the first time ever, I can finally feel like I could go clubbing and dancing and more hopping and flirting and flitting and bitching and moaning and gating and giving people bad unsolicited advice just to see their own lives train wrecked in motion. And for the first time ever, I can finally oh my god, Graham just texted me.
Next up we have Sophie!
If you were a first date, you would be a graveyard sleepover.
It's a theme. Okay. This poem, just think of the title as Different Types of Boredom Men.
Yes. I'm sad.
I was an ugly kid, and I'm not saying that as a means of getting attention. I was genuinely an ugly kid for at least the ages of 6 to 14. Hey, I promise I'm really not saying this to fish for compliments and reassurance. Like if I pull out a photo right now, you'd think, oh yeah, that kid was ugly. I'd like to think that since that time, my edges have slightly rounded. Like I always have that sharpness here, but my exterior is partially softened. But even now, I only seem to attract the worst types of men. Ones who say I'll fix you and have mommy issues and fuck me over again and again. Because they don't see women as whole people, just clay figures they can mold and perfect. Meanwhile, they remain unchanged, content to be plain, because they know they won't be judged the way women always are for simply saying the same. And wait a minute, I'm not saying every man is to blame, but if you've ever been on a date with one of those men, if you have, you know, believe me, anyone who has knows what I mean, and if you haven't, hey, consider yourself lucky, but also let me walk you through it. First, the philosophy major. Your first date will be at a cafe he discovered need to show you. It ends up just being Prince Coffee. You're an hour in and haven't written one word in edgewise because he's busy mansplaining Socrates to you. But he's not pretentious. He's just trying to introduce you to great new things. AKA, showing you the same 5 philosophy books that are literally taught as part of the core. For these same philosophical ethics classes. Second, the musician. You suspect he only bought a guitar so he could play Wonderwall at parties. And he's really into the Beatles, like really into them. He's the kind of guy who asks girls to name 5 songs and they get shocked when they actually can, because of course they can. Everyone can. They're a really popular band. He doesn't know that. He insists they're underground because he has to do mainstream. His all-time favorite song is Teen Spirit by Nirvana. He really wants a manic pixie dream girl, but with none of the mania or mental illness. He doesn't want the dreams either. It's a hollowed-out likeness with bright hair and crazy eyes. You can listen to him drone on and on about his life. Third, the hipster. First date say, any independently owned restaurant in Brooklyn. You will end up spending $25 on a sandwich. He says, yeah, I'm a feminist. What he really means is that he paints his nails black and doesn't like sports, so clearly he's defying all gender. He's a hardcore Marxist, but also spends the summers on his parents' yacht. And no, he doesn't know what Marxism really means, he'll even try to ask him. Fourth, the finance bra. The first thing you notice on your first date is his boat shoes without socks. Why isn't he wearing socks? He exclusively wears suits. He has like a belly presentation later that day. And the worst part is you know you're making triple your starting salary despite only possessing a very rudimentary understanding of the stocks he's always checking. Be prepared to run into him on Wall Street in 10 years. Twice divorced and bitching about child support he can clearly very easily afford. Fifth, the artist. First date, a picnic where he recites really bad poetry at you because he's really meta, and if you don't get it, you just don't understand his art, okay? He'll probably cry the first time you have sex, and the second, and the third. Such a beautiful expression of love! She had you multiple times. Sixth, the film major. He's either at Lincoln Center or wishes he was. He has filmed at least 2-hour-long documentaries on the socioeconomic state of Cape Town, or the mating call of severely endangered species of western birds, or some other strangely obscure topic he's shocked you don't know inside and out. He'll continuously talk about French noir and, have you even seen The Lighthouse? Wait, I'm a little confused. I thought you liked movies. And if you haven't seen it, don't worry, you will to make sure of it. And be sure to provide you with in-depth analyses. Seventh, the athlete. Your first date will be in the same place you both met, a party at a sports house he desperately wishes was an actual frat. He's the one you won't let you regret it. Forget it, sorry. Every time he Snapchats you, it'll be him, shirtless and sweaty, lifting weights at the gym. He'll probably end up cheating on you and will ask, wait, babe, I don't get it, what's the big deal? And you confront him. Eighth, the comp sci major. Synonyms, Discord mod, 4chan regular. Your first day is literally just that cozy. He watches hentai, and so you'll find out that's the real reason he's so obsessed with Japan. Every time you have sex, you will do it with the lights off.
That's crazy.
9. The one straight guy in his physical /time.
That's crazy.
At length about how he was the lead in every high school play, failing to mention how he was one of 3 guys to audition at best. He's really hoping for an onstage kiss. And every day after your first one will just be running lines, and yes, he feels really inspired and seen by Hamilton. 10th, the maritime man. You'll meet him in mugs, or maybe on Hinge. Your first date will be, well, let's not kid ourselves, there's no first date, you just hook up. This is for when you get really sick of boredom and decide you're gonna branch out. You basically never see each other because you have to wake up at 4 a.m. every day anyways. 11th, the guy you met in the apps. You'll meet him on, well, Tinder, of course, or probably, you meet him on Tinder, you only hook up, even though his bio said he was looking for something serious. Oh, it's fine, you're totally fine with fucking him. In his off-campus apartment every other weekend, and then totally ignoring him on your way to classes the next day. He'll text you up, and it will be Monday at 3 a.m. He'll say he's 5'1", he's 6'1", but he's 5'10". He's 6'1", but he's 5'10" at best. But no, guys, I swear, he looks better in person, and he's really good in bed, like really good guy. He isn't. 12, the experiment. Your first date, you're not even sure, because you honestly might just still be friends. It's really unclear, but you do hang out a lot in grads. She talks about how college is a time to experiment, and she doesn't want to take it all too seriously. In the end, she says it's just a phase. It hurts more than any breakup you've ever had, but still you go your separate ways, and in 5 years, she'll marry a medium ugly man.
Yeah.
Don't be too hard on these guys. Hell, there's like a good 50% chance you will end up marrying one of them, and yeah, it'll be in the campus chapel.
Do you like poetry?
Woo!
God, that's an awful opener. This is why I don't get laid. Of course. It's probably more to do with the social anxiety, the inability to pick a gender, the sign somewhere up there that spells love me in ghastly neon pink. I'm sorry, I'm babbling. I've been thinking too much and feeling an unhealthy amount. Have you ever heard of Sonder? From the German Sonder and the French Sondi? A neologism. Not even as old as my youngest sister, who I'll talk about a lot, and you might meet someday, but probably not. A new word, concocted by a man who's made a career of describing the indescribable. This one means the profound feeling of realizing that everyone, including strangers passing in the street, has a life as complex as one's own, which they are constantly living, despite one's personal lack of awareness of it. Dating apps do that to me. That's why I asked about poetry, I guess. You've got a life as complex as mine, and I've got a life as complex as yours, and everyone I like or don't like, who likes or doesn't like me, protagonists of their own profound lives. And I love them, just a little, even if I don't know them, even if I don't want to know them. And there's a poem there, and I'd like to find it. I'd like to write the unwritable, just this once. But most people don't like poetry. And it's hard, you know, seeing a story in every stranger, even the ones you really don't want to date. It's hard loving what you don't know, and knowing that you'll never know, and loving them even after you realize that they never thought you were worth loving in the first place. It's hard wanting to wear your heart on your sleeve and not knowing whether they'll be more deterred by blood or bleached white cotton. It's hard. And what I'm trying to say is I don't know you yet. I don't know you, but I want to. And you don't know me, and for all I know, you've already decided I'm not worth knowing in the first place. I don't know you, but I'll imagine I do. I'll imagine the blood on my shirt doesn't scare you away, and you'll tell me the stories of the blood on yours. I'll imagine you meet my siblings, and they love you. And I meet yours, and they tolerate me, at least. I'll imagine a life in parallel, a poem of shared complexities. I'll imagine you read the unreadable someday. It's almost as good as knowing. It's almost as good as being known. It's almost as good as reading the full poem. But it's not written, and it probably won't be. I'll probably be imagining another pair of parallel lines within the week. And each swipe is a story that's never going to be written. Each profile is a poem I'm never going to know. And anyway, do you like poetry? The next poet, Caroline!
Kelly, you would be a sip and paint, but instead of painting anything normal, you paint John F. Kennedy.
That's Kelly.
Name, Charlene. Age, 21. Height, 6'5", because apparently that matters. Occupation, unemployed, at reformed criminal. Person dating me, you never have to worry about losing your keys because I know how to pick locks. You never have to worry about paying for an Uber because I can hotwire a car. Why haven't I dated anyone before? Well, that's a long one. Long story short, I was in exile for a long time, and I have to thank Tinder for letting me sneak back on the app after I got time off for good behavior. I have to say, it all started when I was 17 and extorting people for money. My very first internship, and that's when I got banned from the app entirely, but since then, a lot has changed. I have changed. Serving time changes people. And staring at the wall of a 12-by-12 makes you feel really contrite. What's my love language? Ja, bitte, German. Reform all of my cultures, ways of all things was love. Or maybe the fear of dying alone because that's love, right? Yeah. So, I atoned. I sat in that confessional and told the Boston Women's Correctional Facility's chaplain all the awful things I did and how do I feel so bad? Like scamming stupid men from Rhode Island and kidnapping labradoodles and holding them for ransom and selling fake Eras tours to teenagers on Ticketmaster.
Yup.
And how sorry I was for all of it, because if I don't have Tinder right now, then how am I supposed to find the love of my life? How am I supposed to not die alone naked in the shower at 89? Because if I don't waste my time with this godforsaken app trying to auction myself off to the most mid-looking person, who am I? What am I doing with my life? Oh, fun fact about myself? Well, I burned all my fingerprints off with gasoline so I don't lose any evidence. And you thought all the war criminals were hiding out in the Pentagon. But of course, the priest said God loves and forgives. He was just really confused about the whole thing and kept saying things like, what is Tinder and are virgins even getting married anymore? And are you happy with your life? And when you look in the mirror, do you like what you see? Obviously not, because I'm standing here reading poetry to you all. After making peace with God, I got a burner cell phone number, a fake name, and made my return to Tinder.